I'm John Butt, musical director of the Dunedin Consort. So I am directing from the harpsichord this performance and recording of Rameau's Pigmalion. Rameau's music is obviously French music. It's very much in the style of French Baroque music, but you can tell that there's something very, very interesting and individual about Rameau as a composer. First of all, his use of harmony. He certainly is the first major theorist of what we might call harmony as opposed to counterpoint. And that is something that's always clear, the very strong chordal progressions in his music, which, although they use the same chords as many of his contemporaries, there's something particularly strong about Rameau. The other thing about Rameau, because he was also interested in the nature of sound in general, is the fact that he seems to have had the ability to hear all the notes in the overtone series and how they contribute not just to harmony, but also to instrumentation and timbre. And I think this is one of the things that makes Rameau particularly important historically, as well as such an attractive composer, is that in the bits of the music that he writes, that he orchestrates. He doesn't necessarily orchestrate everything, but when he does orchestrate things, it has an incredible subtlety, as if he can hear how the placing of a flute or the placing of an oboe will actually affect the overall colour of the chord. Rameau, although he was not brought up in Paris, he would have been very much aware of the importance of dance within French society as a sort of way of both bringing people together in a social sense, but also dividing them by class, giving them a form of discipline through their bodies as well as through their minds. So dance was very much wound into all aspects of life in France at the time. So even in the movements of this piece, which are not specific dances, one can still hear that sense of movement. And I think this is particularly important when we're thinking of a piece like Pigmalion, because the statue itself, of course, is stone initially, and then eventually somehow magically comes alive through Venus's spell, and not only becomes alive, but starts to dance. And then the original statue was played by somebody who was a very famous dancer. So there's a sort of sense in which the entire drama epitomizes the ideal of French society, by which people who are stiff and hard become soft, flexible, and harmonious through their bodies, through their training that they acquire from the earliest years of their life. The story of Pygmalion has a lot of resonance with contemporary society. On the sort of good side, of course, it's this notion of art actually becoming something absolutely central to our life. And I think that's something we forget. We sometimes think of art as something that's sort of just something you do in your past, as a pastime and nothing else. But there is a way, I think, in which art can become something that is absolutely of great importance, even though from our point of view, it's fictional. On the sort of negative side, though, of course, I think one could say that the whole notion of a man not only creating a woman, but then making her behave according to his will, is an archetype in Western culture and probably many other cultures as well. And one finds it in all sorts of things. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Hitchcock's Vertigo, which is a film I work on. So I think there is, there is a disturbing resonance from this piece, which is a useful one for us to be disturbed by, to see that this is there as an archetypical myth in Western history, and one that one still sees today of one person or one gender, in this particular case, creating the other in their own image, as it were, or to fulfill their own needs. So yes, something disturbing about the piece.